Welcome back to another episode of Going For It.
You're-
We are back here with Craig Booger Smeller Brooks and Mike Sourpuss Thomas. Please comment, and subscribe to our channel. I'm so sorry that you clicked on this video because we've gone straight into delirium. We are here to break down the Sunday night and Monday night football games this week. We've lost Craig. The chocolate is hit.
Do you
We've
smell
already had
what
a
Brooks is picking?
conversation.
You did that. I could, because I immediately envisioned like Sourpuss versus the Booger Smeller Pick'em challenge.
Get your AI.
I'm so excited.
Get your AI art thing to create that
I need
picture.
a poster. Yeah, I need a fight.
Oh, I gotta
poster of
ask
that
David because you can load in a
immediately.
photo. I could give it a photo of Mike and a photo of me, and it could like
I'm
do
ready.
stuff. I don't know how to
need
do
it.
that, but
I
I
need
do
it.
know how to talk football and not
I'm
about
excited.
boogers.
I'm excited to talk about both of those things with you. Sunday Night Football, Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Las Vegas Raiders. Mike Thomas, we were talking to you a little bit about the Steelers and the current landscape of that team.
Yeah.
We talked about the dirtiness that Matt Canada is doing to your offense.
Yeah.
With so many weapons at your disposal, it seems to be fairly underutilized. I don't understand why George Pickens isn't getting literally every pass thrown to him directly.
Mm-hmm.
Hat change. I love it. Talk to me about the Steelers and what's going on over in Pittsburgh.
Well, they're playing like smelly boogers right now. That's just the way that it is. Their offensive game plan should be really simple. Throw to George Pickens on every single play until defenses start to double cover him. Because that's the only way that the other people on that offense are going to succeed. The offensive line can't block for Najee Harris, and you have a bruising,
It's kind of slow.
Somewhat,
He's
a slow bruising back, right?
Super fast.
And Matt Canada seems to only run him east-west
Outside.
and not north-south.
He
Can't do
goes
that. Forward.
outside.
You got to go forward.
A lot of
then
jet
forward.
sweep action. A lot of like outside
They need to
the
stop
tackle.
that play. Stop the jet sweep.
Well, last week they did a double jet sweep because our big brains are too smooth to handle it.
Smoothest brains in the business.
The-
Smoothest brains in the business.
Najee Harris also just doesn't run as hard as I would hope he would. Like, he fumbled before he got hit at the goal line, it looked like, on that 2-point conversion in the Monday night game. Like, he's like, I'm going to jump. Up, ball's out.
He didn't have a good grip.
And then Jaylen Warren comes in, and Jaylen Warren, like, my wife was laughing, like, he looks like a child out there on that field compared to all the other players. And I'm like, and yet if you were to see him walk into a room, you'd be like, that's a fucking man. And then you see him out on the football field with all the other football players, and like, that's a child. Why is he out there?
Who let this child on the field?
And the line gets all this space. Like, they learn how to block whenever Jaylen Warren is in for some reason, and he looks great. And they have him running north-south, the little speedster, and Najee Harris running east-west. I don't get it. I'm frustrated. I don't like life anymore. Thanks, Matt Canada.
Damn it. Sourpuss.
Took the joy away.
Closing it out.
I just
now
want to
Craig
know.
Jackson's going to call the Port St. They're going to call the police to check on Mike.
What is it like to root for a team that has an offense that you feel is competent enough to go score 20 points in a game? What's that like? Because I haven't felt that in a long time. It's been since 2019 since I've thought that.
You don't have that.
Early 2019, I think.
That's a real fear. You don't have that.
No, it's been a long time.
Why was Canada the pick? Can you give any insight as to, like, has he
was
been
a
in the
quarterbacks
organization for a long time? Is that what it is?
The Rooneys like to promote from within for their coordinator positions. And so that's what happened. They go outside.
Wasn't he Ben's QB guy?
Bruce Arians was. I honestly can't remember where Canada came from. He crawled out of some hole somewhere and just
obviously
got
a Steelers
his
hole
skunk all over.
Oh, you know what? It wasn't
box.
super from within. He was in college for the years before. He was college for 20 years almost. then became the quarterback's coach in 2020, which was not necessarily a very successful quarterbacking year for the Steelers, and then became coordinator the next year. So he clearly has blackmail on a younger Rooney, on an heir to the Pittsburgh fortunes. That is the only reason, because this resume makes no sense. It doesn't even validate the full loyalty thing. He was there one season.
His head coaching record is 5-7 in the NCAA.
But that would have been when Bruce Arians left the Steelers, right? I got to double check that.
No.
2020, he would have went to Arizona, I think, right? Wasn't that the same year?
Because they pushed Bruce Arians out. Bruce Arians? No, that was way too.
No, your years are off.
I'm getting
my
my
Tampa
timeline.
And won the Super Bowl. Yeah,
I'm getting my
won
timeline.
The Super Bowl in 2020.
Oh, 2013.
Here's what I'm saying. Matt Canada, which we dogged on him before, and rightfully so, because that offense looks anemic or whatever. He's squandering, and this is why I'm going to go back to something I said maybe in our thread, but I don't think I was on a pod with y'all. I actually blame Tomlin here for not moving quick enough, and you don't have to necessarily even fire the guy. Just reshuffle, take over play calling, like do something in the short term to not squander this top 3, top 4, top defense that Steelers have right now, that they can like make stuff happen and win football games on the defense, which means all you got to do is be just baseline competent, and you're winning a lot of games in the NFL when you have a defense that good that scores.
The issue there, I get what you're saying. There's two things. One, Tomlin is not an offensive guy. He is a hands-on defensive coach. So he is very hands-on on the defensive side and lets the offensive side do its thing.
Damn it.
The other
but
thing
he's been there so long. He knows the other
I
shit.
don't know how much power Tomlin has to let go of coaches during the season. The Rooneys have been pretty consistent of just not really letting people go in the middle of seasons. And I don't even know if they have a long history of relieving coaches of their duties while they're in the middle of a contract. I think that they tend to let their guys end their contracts and then move on from them. There's a handful of exceptions with that. Usually, though, that I can remember, it's the coach, quote unquote, retires and then comes out of retirement to go coach for another team.
All I'm saying is, and I Googled it, so I don't know. I'm saying you pick one of these 8 faces. So the offensive coaching team has a running back guy, a wide receiver guy, a quarterback. I don't care. This one, Mike Sullivan, he's got 18 years experience. Oh, no, Alfredo Roberts, 20 years experience as a tight ends coach. You call the plays now, brother. You get a shot. Like,
got an opportunity.
Couldn't Tomlin, to your point, you know a lot more than I do, than them not firing and stuff like that. Wouldn't the head coach still have the authority to determine who's calling the damn plays? Because if you say he doesn't, now we don't have a real head coach. And I respect Tomlin, so I know he's a real head coach. He's built a lot there. Maybe he can't fire, but he sure as shit could say, hey, man, you're not the one in
this isn't working out.
You're not in Ken's ear, okay? Mike Sullivan's in Ken's ear now. You're in Kenny's ear, and we're turning that one off. We're just putting that away. We're going to let Mike Sullivan call the plays.
That helmet's in the trash. It will not be coming back. So I can kind of confirm a lot of what you're saying, because I know there's relation between the owners of your franchise and my favorite team's franchise.
Family.
The Mara family was also very adamant. Like Jerry Reese, it took forever to fire Jerry Reese. Tom Coughlin was basically retired because they didn't want to fire him as a head coach, and he retired. Kevin Gilbride retired. Like, they had a really hard time. They held on to guys for too long in specific head coaching and offensive coordinator positions because they didn't want to fire, because they don't want to be looked at as a franchise that, turns over and does all these things. But Pittsburgh has an opportunity right now, and I know I'm not telling you anything you don't already know, but for the viewer, for the listener, Pittsburgh has an opportunity. You guys spent a first-round pick on a quarterback, a homegrown guy that could be massive for the franchise and for branding and for everything moving forward. You have a solid young wide receiver core. You have a guy that's got top 10, top 5 tight end potential That line is better than it's been in recent years, which is not, it's not a great, thing to hang your hat on, but it's still better than it has been. And you do have your two back system with Jaylen Warren and Najee Harris, that you have your goal line guy, you got your guy from inside the 20, and you got your guy on the outside of that, which I think is the way that they should go. But I just, it feels like they're in the 60s, like they're Terry Bradshaw footballing right now, where it's like, let's throw the ball 15 times, but to the wrong places. And it's like, what? Don't do that. Don't have a 1 for touchdown, 1 for interception ratio, my guy. Don't do that. It's
they
bad.
think they're doing well, don't they, Mike?
Who?
The Steelers website. The Steelers website says the offense improved heavily through the course of the 2022 season and boasted the best third down conversion rate and the third most rushing yards in the league from weeks 10 through 18 after starting the season ranked 24th in both categories through the first 8 weeks.
That is the biggest reason why Canada is still plaguing the Steel City.
Mm-hmm.
It's because they finished strong. They finished strong. And now we are at a point where, okay, all hyperbole aside, you do fire Canada. Well, who are you going to come in to create some, I don't know, excitement? Who are you going to bring in to get that creativity that is so lacking on the Steelers play calling side and the Steelers offensive scheming side? Those guys are scooped up and they're on other teams, and it's too late to go hire them.
Wouldn't be a bad option.
Dan's available.
I mean,
better than what's in there right now. I would look at a quarterback's coach that's in LA for the Rams right now. I would look at anyone that's worked under Andy Reid, even Matt Nagy. And I know Nagy has his detractors from his time in Chicago because his head coaching experience there was terrible. But like, I would take him over what's currently going on with Matt Canada because it is not good.
Oh, I would take a lot of those people, but I don't know if at this point in the season, if you can. If they're on another team staff, especially.
I mean, I would. Shit, I don't even see what the high school coach down the street is doing. Like, fuck.
Oh, that's rude.
I mean, the Eagles did win a Super Bowl with it.
Third best rushing offense of 8 weeks of last year, guys. Come on. Come on.
With no other context. They could have been in or out of those games, and it didn't matter. But
it doesn't.
Still.
Those jet sweeps worked.
No, it was a tough watch. It was a tough watch. Thank God for J.J. Watt and the defense and being able to figure it out. Although we're not sure if Minka did he do that? Was he falling?
I don't think Minka's that kind of. I don't think he's that kind of player.
I hope not. He went low. He went very low.
He's never been that kind of player before, so I don't know why it would start now. Like, why in this game was he just
went low? He didn't try to. I'm not saying he tried to hurt him, but he was diving at the knee region.
Well, but isn't that part of the problem with the NFL? Well, exactly that. And isn't the rule in the NFL now you can't hit, if you try to make contact with the head and go head to head, shoulder to shoulder or whatever, and you make contact with the head, isn't that a penalty? So you got to
go ankles or waist, I think.
Waist is bad. The box is bad. And Nick Chubb squats 8,000 pounds or something. The bar is
today he doesn't. Not today.
Not today. But he will again. He will again. I hope in my heart. I want.
It was all the L's and something else. It
MCL, ACL,
and one other thing.
Meniscus is probably in
and dislocated knee. It was out completely, and all the three of them went.
That is very reminiscent of his college. Yeah, in Georgia. That was all the positivity for Nick Chubb. I hope he comes back and he is still
We're
very
pro
good.
Nick Chubb podcast.
Pro Nick Chubb. Anti Matt Canada. Fuck that guy.
Yeah, we're definitely an anti Matt Canada.
Matt Canada, we should trade him to the Browns so he could coach up Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, that's right.
And those guys are a match made in heaven.
There you go. Send him. Take Kareem Hunt.
Yeah, have him come back over. It'll be great.
No, you want to coach? They would want to coach. They would want to coach in that deal.
let me pivot because we've talked about our good friend Mike Thomas's Steelers here. Let's talk about the Raiders, the Vegas Raiders, with some decent offensive pieces. I don't think Jimmy G's cooked. Devontae Adams is still Devontae Adams, but
He's banged up.
Josh McDaniels is not good at head coaching, I think, is what we've learned so far this season. Any feelings on that between the two of you? I don't think he's very good.
We didn't learn it. We confirmed it.
We confirmed it. That's accurate. That's accurate. We knew that. We knew that. He's not. Has there been a really successful one? We've covered this at least once. Off the Belichick tree. Has there been one that rose to a Super Bowl? And a victory. And I don't even know if anyone's gotten there.
I don't even know. Like
Bill O'Brien, they all come back too. By the way, they come back. He takes his puppies back, which is very kind of him because his resume is done, already finished, needs no other information. Yeah, and he lets them all come back, and then even lets them try new things, like that debacle when he did the Joe Judge, Matt Patricia. What a guy, what a grandpa, right? Like what the grandpa of the NFL lets his grandkids back.
Nick Saban's part of his coaching tree.
Nick Saban's part of
Belichick's. They were both in Cleveland at the same time.
Yeah, they were.
I mean, Saban will never leave college again and shouldn't. And
he's also never going to leave Miami to coach at Alabama. Read his lips.
He definitely didn't do that.
He did say
he definitely didn't.
That went so well for him, though. You can't blame him at this point. He was right.
Go very well.
It was better for both parties.
Regardless, Josh McDaniels, not good, not cut out to be a head coach. It seems. Nope. Josh Jacobs finished with -2 yards on 9 carries last week. Very concerned that I mean, Mike, how are you feeling? Do you think, outside of your pick of the Raiders to be able to protect your streak, do you think this offense poses any threat to your defense in any capacity?
I have seen so many teams that you look at on paper and you go, that offense stands no chance against this Steelers D. And they just chew them up and march down the field. And it's usually the Raiders. It's usually the Raiders that we're sitting there, Steelers fans, going, well, all right, at least it's the Raiders. We're going to get this win. Why did we lose 20-17? Why did this happen? So that's my life as a Steelers fan.
Oh, great.
These games bring me anxiety.
Ungrateful, negative, won multiple Super Bowls in your lifetime. What the fuck? This is your life. Woe is me that you have one of the best defensive players maybe of all time if he can stay healthy. Ridiculous.
That's the big thing.
Ridiculous.
The Watts struggle to stay healthy, it seems.
They all do. Just for Derek. Derek might be fine. We don't know. No one knows.
I will promise you this. The Raiders move the ball significantly better than the Browns do.
Yeah.
Wow. The Browns did.
I believe it.
Wow.
That does happen, though, to good teams. Like, you get those change-ups.
And the Browns were going to win 30-7 if Chubb didn't get hurt.
Is TJ super big in the run stopping as well? Or is he primarily
much more of a pass rusher? Cam Hayward is the middle and clogging the middle, and he's hurt for 8 weeks.
Yeah. Right. He's out for a while. Cam was the bigger piece. So, yeah, it's lining up for what Mike said, but you're so negative about it. You should be like, no, TJ's going to get 2 more sacks, continue his pace to 34.
Oh, if the Steelers win, it's going to be because he makes some type of splash play that changes the direction of the game. That's how they win.
Yes.
It's their wins because he does something silly.
Yeah, sack, pick, fumbles is what it all is.
He does all the silly things. Moving on, Philly versus the Bucks. I've been very surprised to this point that the Eagles are not appearing to yet. It is early in the season. They have a lot of returning pieces from last year, especially on offense, but they do not seem to be the juggernaut this year that they were last year. And it's been surprising to me, at least to this point. So, Mike, what are your thoughts? Philly versus the Bucks, and Baker's kind of overachieved.
Yeah, I said on our Pick'em show that I think Philadelphia is still getting stronger and better as the season goes on. They have not shown played up to their potential yet, whereas Tampa Bay has really peaked. Like, they've played lights out. Nobody expected them to play like this over the first 2 weeks. I don't see them getting much better than what they showed over the first 2 weeks. They can be a good football team, and they can hold it up, continue to succeed over a full season, but I still think they're playing as good as they're going to play. So that being said, I feel like there's just an advantage for Philadelphia because Philadelphia knows that they've left plays on the field. They know they're not playing all that well. They're very lucky to be 2-0 and not feel like they're this undefeated team. They know inside, like, we got to get better.
Yeah, really interesting to see what they pull out for this week. They had a Thursday night game, so they have had the extra rest. They've had a little more time to practice, a little more time to prep. So I'm excited to see what this team looks like versus the Bucs, because the offense just doesn't look like it's together. AJ Brown, from everything I read, it's a nothing burger, but like a little upset on the sideline about his usage to this point this season. And it's really curious to see, because they lost a lot on the defensive side of the ball. And I think that's showing up a little bit early. Minnesota hung up a bunch of points on them. But that offense, I just don't know. Still got probably the best O-line in football right now. And Jalen's a stud. Jalen runs well. He does throw the ball well. And those pieces are just dynamic. I don't know how the Bucs win this one, to be honest.
No, I mean, the Bucs win this one by Philadelphia making a couple of mistakes and Tampa continuing to play at their peak potential. I've always said Baker Mayfield is underrated and gets trashed by fans and football fans all over the place. Like, I think he's a good football player. And I saw what they were doing to him in Cleveland, where we mentioned it was either on this show or a previous one that we just recorded, where it was like they sent him out there with like half a tendon holding his shoulder in place. And they're like, throw
in
a couple
brace.
dozen times.
Yeah.
And then they were like, oh, this guy sucks. Get him out of town. He's better than that. I'm not surprised that he's having success in Tampa. I know a lot of people are. I think Tampa could make this a very competitive game. I think it's going to be potentially an interesting game to watch. It could be one that Tampa wins by a possession or two. It could be one that Philly wins in a blowout, and anywhere in between. It's probably going to be a last-second field goal, and that's the difference.
Bucs, would you say, let me pose this one to you, Craig. Do you think the Bucs have overachieved this season? Because I feel like we all looked at this division and we're like, this division is doo-doo. It's dead. Yeah. The Saints are going to come in here. They are going to clean everyone's clock because they have the best quarterback and the most consistency. Do you think the Bucs have overachieved a little bit and maybe even made some noise to possibly win the division here?
It's funny because overachieved, I have to agree that they are overachieving, because I think you nailed it. There was just not a whole lot of excitement around what was going to come out of there. And it was we certainly didn't think three of the teams were going to be 2-0, right? We sure as shit did not think that.
No way.
That wasn't what was going to happen. Whereas the NFC East, you could have made the argument. Like, that wasn't going to surprise everybody. So that while I think they've overachieved, I think they're right in a position to win this division. You could see that, like, from the games that we've seen of Baker playing, of Evans, Godwin's relevant again, and that Rachaad White is looking good out of the backfield for Tampa Bay. Like, the offense is there. I don't know enough about, because I didn't watch full game footage because I've been Miami focused. I don't know how the defense is doing. We know they're undefeated. So they've only allowed, it looks like, 34 points through the two games. So that's not terrible, right? So they're not getting destroyed there. This is the big test. This is the Eagles. This is the defending runner-up kind of thing, who hasn't been looking their best. So I like the non-sourpuss praise from Mike there on Baker. I think that's some respect there. Game recognized game.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it was respect for Baker and not the Browns. He got to dunk on the Browns while complimenting Baker.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
It was a double goodie for sourpuss. I want to get into our Rams-Cincinnati game before we get into our score predictions. This game, I feel like at the beginning of the season, before everything started and everything has kind of shaken out in these last 2 weeks, we would have looked at this game and been like, why is this a Monday night game? But now you look at this game and you look at the last 2 weeks where Joe Burrow's kind of been asleep at the wheel. You look where Matthew Stafford's had a bit of a resurgence. And this is a game that you want to see Cincinnati win, think Cincinnati could win, but the Rams have played better than Cincinnati both games. What? Not sure what to make of it. Craig, what do you think about this Rams-Cincinnati matchup?
Well, I think we talked about it in the full week kind of slate. I'm taking the Rams because I'm betting on the way Sean McVay has kind of committed to what he's doing this season, right? The guy had offers to do other things. He wanted to come back with these core pieces of Stafford, Donald, and it was Kupp that was originally going to be a pillar there as well. I know that that's not the case anymore because that dude may have forever injury issues at this point. Who knows? But the talent in the coaching staff to find what's next, right? They've been able to do that and be a little bit more exciting than anyone thought this year. So and I feel the opposite about it's Zach Taylor, right? Over in Cincinnati that maybe just benefited from having absolute studs on offense, minus the line. That O-line never quite all got there. But he had, at all the skill positions, he had really good players. And we know Joe Burrow is an absolute kind of stud player. I'm not worried at all for Joe personally. The 0-2 start, they've started 0-2 last year, 1-1 the year before. I'm not worried yet. And he found T. Higgins, which you also mentioned in the full slate breakdown. It's just that when it comes down to it, I think this will end up being a close game. So I have to lean on Sean McVay to make the better close decisions.
Mike, what do you think? Rams, Bengals.
Assuming Burrow is playing, I would like to think that Cincinnati is not going to fall to 0-3, and so I would be inclined to take them at home over the visiting Rams, who are a team that I thought was going to be real bad this year, and they've actually played pretty good, at least their offense, the first couple of weeks. But how pissed is Jamar Chase? Because didn't he say,
oh my God,
Burrow, don't play, man. Just sit for 6 weeks? Why are you risking it?
He said, miss the first 4 weeks. You can come back. We'll be fine. And then we'll go from there.
Yeah. And they rushed him back. He clearly was hobbled, and then he re-injured or made it worse. And one of the headlines I saw earlier today was, the chances there for Burrow to miss multiple games now with this tweak.
Mm-hmm.
So let me before we wrap this segment, because I think if Burrow's healthy, Mike Thomas and I are on the same page. Gotta go Cincy here. But looking at and taking what Craig said and kind of peeling back the onion a little bit there, Zach Taylor has had this team, this collection of individuals, other than the offensive line, like we've said, be studs for multiple years now. He's had Burrow for 3. He's had Chase for 2. Is it 2 or 3? No, it might be 3 for Chase too. 2.
This is 3.
He's had Higgins for 3 or 4. No, Higgins was 2 because he was the second round pick. He came in with the same year as Burrow. Tyler Boyd, one of the best slot wide receivers in football. Joe Mixon, one of the best running backs in football, at least traditional running back. And he hasn't been able to really they went to a Super Bowl. Awesome. Great. A lot of underachieving happening outside of that regular season, having to get in on the last day of the year. And I understand they're in a tough division. They're in a tough, I get all of that. Maybe do you guys possibly think that seat might be warming up under Zach Taylor a little bit? Mike, I want to start with you.
No. They've had too much success to let clear mismanagement be the end of it. I don't think he's on the hot seat at all. I think they could have a down year and he would be safe. You're allowed to have one down year. He can have that down year. If Burrow's hurt, it's a free pass down year because you just go, our guy that we just paid a bunch of money to is hurt. What do you want me to do? So, no, I don't think he'd be on the hot seat. If next year continues, then it's a different story.
My concern with that is just that T. Higgins is in a contract year and they are not coming to an agreement. So he is only going to, moving forward, he is only going to have less weapons for Joe Burrow to work with. So that's my concern. Craig, I want to let you weigh in on that too before I.
Well, I apologize. I lost it. I just fucking cut it right there. I looked at something and I lost it. I apologize.
No, you're good.
You should mark that minute. Mark the 31 minute is like fucking cut that shit.
Craig's an idiot.
I was looking at the other screen and I was like, fuck.
We're going to get our score predictions in for these primetime games. Sunday Night Football, Pittsburgh versus Raiders. I am taking the Pittsburgh Steelers over the Las Vegas Raiders. And I'm going to say that's going to be like, we're going to say 27-14. I think that's going to be a big one. I think a lot of points coming from defense again. But I really think that it's not going to be super close. Craig, what do you got for Pittsburgh versus the Raiders?
Defense to dominate. I think I chose the Steelers.
You did.
Don't trust the offense. 21-20.
Ooh. Mike Thomas.
20-17. Raiders.
The vitriol. I love it.
I know you won't cut that. So now poor bastard that listens is going to have to go all the way through like, fuck.
Monday Night Football. Philadelphia Eagles versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm taking Philly in this game over the Bucs, and I'm going to say this one is going to be 28-21. Baker doesn't get it done on a fourth quarter drive. I think Philly's defense is just a little too good for him to conjure up that little magic he's going to need. 28-21. Craig, what do you got?
I think I waffled back to the
Bucs. Yeah.
Which would mean I think it's got to happen and be a 3-point or under, like a field goal that wins it kind of thing. So let's go 27-24.
Okay. Mike Thomas, what do you got?
Baker drives down the field, fourth quarter, his team trailing by a touchdown. He ties the game with 2 minutes left to go, and then Jalen Hurts goes downfield, kicks a game-winning field goal, or puts his team in a position to kick a game-winning field goal, 30-27.
Oh, I kind of like that.
It's a good game. This is a great fourth quarter. Rams versus Bengals. I am taking the Bengals on Joe Burrow's health. If Joe Burrow is not healthy, it's Rams all day. I don't see how they fucking lose that game. With Joe Burrow healthy, I'm going to say they break out of their offensive funk. I'm going to say 35-21.
Yikes.
Yeah.
That's a lot of
I'm going to say Jamar Chase wakes up, gets unlocked. T. Higgins is there. Joe Mixon does his thing. I think if Joe is able to play at Joe's level, I think he's going to have a chip and he's going to have something to prove this game. Mike Thomas, let's go to you.
If Burrow plays, Cincinnati wins 24-18. If Burrow does not play, Rams win 21-17.
I like the cover. Now I have to think of my Rams if Burrow doesn't play. Craig, who you got?
28-27 either way. Somebody's winning. Somebody's losing.
Every game's a one-pointer.
Burrow doesn't play. I'm going to say 28-10 Rams.
Yikes.
Yeah, I don't think it's close. Guys, thank you for hanging out with us. We greatly appreciate it. Again, these are recorded on Wednesday night before, so there could be information that comes out later in the week that we are not obviously going to be talking about. Just a little asterisk for you guys. But in regards to all of that, thank you for hanging out with us. We greatly appreciate it. Do us a favor and like, comment, and subscribe on this video. Thank you for hanging out, and we will see you guys all back here next time.